Howdy friendos, my name is Stuart, and we are continuing our D&D December celebration extravaganza with our Spider Celebration into Spider Sunday. If you came here after watching No Way Home, I hope this serves as a fun treat for you. Keep in mind that none of these videos will be able to take that movie into account, but if this Spider-Man miniseries does well, we will definitely be doing a follow-up. Be sure to check out our MCU Spider-Man video, but also our Strange, Tobey Maguire, and the Raimi Rogues. But for now, it's time to check out the final part of our celebration, the Amazing Spider-Man duology. After Sam Raimi's fourth Spider-Man movie fell through, apparently that was going to be a thing for a hot minute, plans quickly went underway to reboot the franchise. With Mark Webb at the helm, Andrew Garfield was brought in to become the next live-action Spider-Man in a back-to-basics sort of film. The movies are a big departure in tone and style compared to the Raimi movies. Gone is the comic book feel as we enter a more serious interpretation with problems being tackled that weren't touched on in the Raimi trilogy. And honestly, I think Andrew kinda makes a good Spider-Man. Hell, while there is no Mary Jane Watson, Andrew has some good chemistry with Gwen Stacy. I just feel there's a ticking clock in the background of any scene that they're in for, obvious reasons. When Amazing Spider-Man was released in 2012, it did well enough to get a sequel in 2014. Sony was excited as the MCU had proven a superhero universe could work and began laying the seeds in their movie for a sprawling spider epic. A Sinister Six movie, a Craven spinoff, Venom, and there's a lot. And then the reviews came back, and the Sony leak happened. It's not really surprising that Sony said yes to the MCU deal. Also, I'm not about to get into the weeds of the behind-the-scenes and troubles of both the Amazing Spider-Man movies. We're here to study the characters and their alignment. Also, unlike the Raimi movies, we'll be combining both Spider-Man and his Amazing Rogues together in this video for the two movies exclusively. If this video does well, we may revisit all of our Spider characters when No Way Home is released, but I'm pretty sure that video will do well. We're probably gonna do it anyway. So let's begin with our new Peter Parker. Peter is a high school outcast who photographs on the sides and skateboards in his free time. Left at his aunt and uncle's house by his super scientist and most important character in the series, Richard Parker, Peter grew up chasing a ghost. As such, we're going to be getting Peter right around chaotic neutral, I think, mostly because he's a bit of a wild child skateboard boy. We'll get more into the rogues as the movies go on, but there really isn't much to say. And with that out of the way, let's go.
Sure. Put him down, Eugene!
We start our movie with Peter struggling from bullies, aggressive lovers, and teachers who yell at the social outcast for having a skateboard. After taking a picture of Gwen, okay, that isn't creepy, Peter tries to stand up to Flash Thompson for bullying someone else. Flash proceeds to beat him as a crowd cheers on. Jesus, this is chaotic good.
I forgot all about that thing.
Discovering his dad's briefcase while rummaging in the basement, Peter comes across his dad's super secret notes. Learning of his dad's co-worker, Dr. Curtis Connors, who works at the prestigious and totally not evil Oscorp, Peter goes to learn more about his dad and see the man in action. Chaotic neutral.
Got it.
Okay, Mr. Guevara.
Posing as an intern and causing the real intern to be kicked out of Oscorp, Peter goes on a tour to meet Kurt. He outs himself quickly and hides his intentions to Gwen, not realizing his crush worked at Oscorp. I know I'm probably being a little harsh here, but I think getting another intern kicked out of something that they rightfully earned is kind of a dick move. I'm gonna go with neutral evil. Breaking from the group, Peter goes to a restricted room filled with genetically altered spiders. He then begins poking around and is bitten by one of them. Well, Pete, what did you think was gonna happen messing around in a secret spider room? Chaotic neutral. With his powers activating, Peter Three Stooges his way back home, apologizing the entire way. I'm actually gonna give that a nat 20 fight. That's really cute. He raids the fridge like he was on this universe's only Mary Jane, confusing his aunt and his uncle. Chaotic neutral.
I'm Richard Parker's son.
Needing answers, Peter goes to Kurt Connor's home unannounced and reveals that he's Richard Parker, aka the most important man in this entire franchise. Oh, his son anyway. Wanting to bond with Kurt and help advance his father's abandoned research, Peter reveals his father's formula. He impressed Kurt enough to get a private one-on-one lesson at Oscorp later. Chaotic neutral.
All right, how about this? All right, how about that?
Peter begins abusing his powers at school, getting revenge on Flash after he bullied another kid. This leads him to destroying the backboard and causing Uncle Ben to come down to school. Peter even admits he enjoyed getting one on Flash before promising to get May from work. Technically, and I mean technically, humiliating Flash like this for funsies is chaotic evil.
Well, others disagreed. You know, what if the device were loaded with a toxin? What if you wanted to opt out? You can't run away from a cloud after all. So.
After doing some skateboarding and honing his spider powers, Peter goes to work with Kurt at Oscorp. He ignores Ben's phone calls on his sleek Sony product placement, even when Kurt gives him the chance to pick up. They get a breakthrough, but Peter forgets to pick up May, chaotic neutral.
Not choice, responsibility.
It's all well and good, so where is he?
What?
Where is he?
Returning home, Peter is confronted about the lack of his responsibilities and is asked to apologize. After Ben delivers some odd variant on the great whatever's comes important who's-a-whatsits, Peter berates Ben's parenting and his father's death before storming off. I'm sure nothing karmic will happen in the foreseeable future. Chaotic neutral.
You can leave a penny anytime. You have to spend $10 to take a penny. Store policy.
Trying to cool down, Peter fails to buy some milk at the stingiest convenience store in New York. When the robber pockets $20 and tosses Peter the milk, Peter allows the guy to escape, saying it's not his policy. You know, this all seems familiar, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Also chaotic evil. Oh, right. With great power comes great responsibility. Now I remember. Yeah, that happened.
Here's one other thing. He has a star tattooed on his left hand.
Finding Ben's body seconds after being shot, Peter stays by his side as he dies. Recognizing the police sketch as the man who robbed the store, Peter realizes his responsibility, but with a Batman edge to it. He goes on a hunt for anyone who matches the description of the killer. This is entirely revenge motivated, so chaotic evil.
When was the last time you were in Queens? I asked you a question, man.
Finding one suspect, Peter attacks and is ready to throw the man off a building when he realizes he got the wrong guy. Admittedly, the man was hurting someone, but Peter leaves him hanging off the building, and I'm beginning to realize why people didn't like this Peter. Chaotic evil.
Just let me go. Is that a knife? Is that a real knife?
Yes, it's a real knife.
My weakness, it's small knives.
With his identity nearly compromised, Peter begins to create a Spider-Man persona, complete with costume, gear, and snark. Bear in mind, Peter is still hunting down Uncle Ben's killer exclusively. He is less of a sensational or friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and more of a savage or avenging webhead who toys with anyone resembling Ben's killer. He criticizes the cops for their jobs and hides the truth from his aunt. Technically, still neutral evil.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying he's trying to help, and it looks like he's trying to do something maybe the police can't.
Something the police can't?
Peter is invited over for dinner at the Stacy's and meets Police Captain George Stacy. During this dinner, Peter begins to fight with George on Spider-Man and begins calling out the cops' lack of effectiveness compared to Spider-Man. Dude's acting more suspicious than Walter White with Hank. I mean, like, chaotic neutral. Jesus, dude. I do believe this kiss was consensual. Yes, I do. It's even kind of hot. But, like, I have to label this something. Chaotic neutral? Directed by the Sirens and his spider sense, Peter heads to the Lizard Attack Bridge. He jumps in and tries to save people being tossed around. Some of them like the kid. He saves heroically by helping the kid be brave and act like a real good guy. Other times he just kind of accidentally kills people, I think, from the web lining stopping the fall too quickly. Sure hope that won't come in later. Probably the big reason why he's eventually blamed for the bridge incident, but let's give him a neutral good anyway.
You gotta lay low.
No, can't do that.
Despite Gwen's suggestion to lie low as he's the prime suspect, Peter realizes he's the only one capable of stopping this New York menace. He drops the hunt for his uncle's killer to focus on finding out how to stop the lizard. Neutral good.
Have you seen it?
No, it's not yet classified. But it can be aggressive.
Peter skips school and tries to get help from the totally not suspicious Kurt Connors. When he finds proof that Kurt may be the monster, Peter rushes to tell Captain Stacy. Stacy dismisses this and kicks Peter out of the station. Maybe Peter was onto something about the police tactics not working. Lawful good. Going into the sewers, Peter tries to find the lizard to get a photo, but the lizard finds and attacks him. The two are separated before their fight can finish. Lawful good.
I gotta stop him, though. I have to. I created him.
Peter drags himself to Gwen to get patched up and make out. Gwen says no, opening up about her worries for Peter in relation to her dad's occupational hazards. She tries to tell Peter to leave it to the professionals, but he insists that Kurt is his responsibility. He swings Gwen away to, maybe reenact a scene from the James Cameron Spider-Man movie that was almost made? Chaotic good.
Nowhere to hide, Peter.
Attacked at school, Peter defends himself and the student body from a rampaging lizard. He helps Gwen escape after getting some help and tries to incapacitate and reason with the lizard before chasing him into the sewers. Lawful good.
We need an antidote. Do you know how to run a serum?
Yeah, I do it for condoms all the time.
Great.
Pete asks Gwen to help him create an antidote at Oscorp. When he realizes the lizard is heading to Oscorp for his master plan, he calls Gwen to warn her and get everyone out of the building. Lawful good. Time to talk about our angry scientist of the movie. Kurt Connors is the average scientist that is trying to help people, such as those limited by lost limbs or failing body parts. That does include himself, but Kurt does have a stronger moral center when he doesn't go through with Oscorp's suggestion of unknowingly testing on humans in a veterans hospital. However, as Connors' mind begins to be affected by the lizard persona, a much more arrogant, selfish individual emerges who will bring everyone together by evolving past humanity into lizard people. I'm not touching that one. I'll just say Kurt and the Lizard are chaotic good, technically. It's a race to Oscorp, but Peter is attacked by the NYPD. He is forced to defend himself, but is eventually held at gunpoint by Captain Stacy. Injured and unmasked, he is able to convince Captain Stacy to let him go and save Gwen and everyone. Lawful good. Peter battles Lizard atop Oscorp to stop him from inspiring the second Michael Bay TMNT movie. With Captain Stacy's help, Peter cures Dr. Connors and everyone affected. However, in the process, Stacy is mortally wounded and Connors is arrested. At least for now. Lawful good.
So I want you to promise me something, okay? Leave Gwen out of it.
With Stacy's last breath, he asks Peter to not drag Gwen into danger. Peter takes this too literally, not seeing the Stacys and watching the funeral from afar. Even when Gwen confronts him about this, Peter doesn't fess up until she figures it out herself. Lawful neutral.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Mr. Parker.
Yeah, but those are the best kind.
But then he immediately decides to forego all of that and decides to get back with Gwen anyways. Chaotic neutral. 2 years after the battle with Kurt Connors, Peter has continued his career as Spider-Man. He's seeing Gwen still, but is having repeat guilt trips about this. This includes manifestations of what can only be described as Ghost Dad with Captain Stacy. Chaotic good twice.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm running a bit late. I got stuck in some traffic.
Rushing to his high school graduation, Peter stops Russian mobster Alexei that name, from stealing plutonium and minimizing collateral damage. This includes saving electrical worker and Oscorp employee Max Dillon, even giving him some motivation before swinging off. Neutral good.
I wish your uncle could have been here.
Me too. And my folks.
Still haunted by Ghost Dad, Peter confesses to Gwen his conflicted feelings about being together and being Spider-Man. Mind you, Captain Stacy never told Peter to stop dating Gwen, but sure. Gwen, tired of this happening again and again, breaks up with Peter. Chaotic neutral.
Good morning, New Yorkers.
Montage time as Peter spends the next few months being Spider-Man and helping civilians. He starts college and is submitting photos to the Bugle while trying to help his aunt with her 2 jobs. Lawful good twice, actually. During all of this, Peter begins stalking Gwen. He even admits later that he does this daily so that way he can be near her. Peter, my guy. No, neutral evil.
You got your braces on. Now there's nothing to distract from your unibrow. There he is.
Trying to convince an off-screen J. Jonah Jameson that Spider-Man is a hero on his state-of-the-art, very marketable Sony Vaio laptop, Peter learns of Norman Osborn's death via retcon. Peter goes to support his longtime friend, who has returned from exile, Harry Osborn. The two catch up and spend an afternoon reflecting on their lives and Spider-Man. Neutral good.
Hey.
Receiving a call from Gwen, Peter goes to meet up. Gwen wants to continue the relationship as friends, but Peter flirts with her. He reveals his stalking and tries to use this as a way to get a kiss and make it romantic. This is stopped when Gwen reveals she is being offered a scholarship at Oxford. Chaotic neutral. Peter is drawn away to stop Electro's accidental rampage. Recognizing him, Peter actually tries to de-escalate the situation and talk to Max and the police down from a fight. Unfortunately, the cops shoot Max after a misunderstanding, and Peter is forced to fight his once biggest fan. Lawful good. Frustrated by Gwen potentially leaving, Peter throws himself into side plots. He begins making a string board that would make the mess of Pepe Sylvia seem sane, with notes about Gwen and his father. All the while, he tries and fails to make his webbing grounded. Chaotic neutral.
You took his picture, so you know him.
Peter learns that Harry is dying, with the only potential cure coming from Spider-Man's blood. Remembering how well helping Kirk Connors went, Peter tries to play dumb and brings up the dangers, but eventually promises a pleading Harry he'll reach out to Spider-Man. Lawful neutral, I think.
This is the most cliched hiding place you could have chosen.
Running back to Gwen, Peter learns that Oscorp is covering up Max's accident and connections to Oscorp. He helps Gwen escape from security, but not before trying to tell her he doesn't want her to go to England, and tries to kiss her again. Chaotic good.
Every time I mention my parents, your eyes go down. I know that you're not telling me something. You lie to me. I know you love me.
Peter begins to obliterate his personal relationships in rapid succession. He tries to pressure May into revealing the truth about his parents, which rightfully upsets May, who has been breaking her back trying to raise him, while Peter chases the ghost of his father. He then goes to speak with Harry as Spider-Man and insists that he can't give up his blood. Harry takes it well. And finally, Peter tries one more time to tell Gwen not to go to Oxford and vent about everything in his life. At Gwen's interview. Neutral evil twice. Come on, man.
I'm following you now. I'm just gonna follow you everywhere.
After urban spelunking to find out more about his dad, Peter learns Gwen has been accepted into Oxford and is on her way there now. He finds her, swings her away from her cab, and spontaneously decides to drop his entire life to move to England with her. To be honest, I'm gonna give that a chaotic good. Time for our main villain for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Max was a nobody, abused and taken advantage of by Oscorp. He found hope in Spider-Man that quickly became an unhealthy obsession. When he became Electro, he suddenly sees the attention he never got before, until he believes Spider-Man is setting him up to be the next villain. Enraged that he has been taken advantage of once again, Max is twisted into showing everyone what kind of power he truly has. Chaotic evil?
I hate this song!
Peter witnesses Electro depower a city. He grounds his webs with Gwen's help, but webs her to a car so she won't get in danger. Chaotic good. Arriving at the power plant, Peter battles his one-time fan, but is overwhelmed by the sheer power of Electro. He eventually accepts Gwen's help, and the two decide to overcharge Electro. This seemingly kills him, at least for now. Okay, lawful good. Sorry. Let's quickly go over Harry. Like the James Franco version, Harry is the disappointment to Norman, but is motivated by a ticking clock with his goblin disease, as opposed to trying to impress Norman. Desperate, he tries to ask Peter and Spider-Man for help. He is seemingly betrayed at every avenue and is ousted from his own company. Lashing out, he gets reckless and seeks revenge on Peter, swearing bloody revenge and spin-offs that will never happen. Chaotic evil.
You don't give people hope. You take it away. No, Harry. I'm gonna take away yours.
Seconds after beating Electro, Harry comes to get revenge on Spider-Man and deduces it's Peter. Peter tries to talk Harry down, but his friend is too far gone. The two are forced to fight as Peter does everything he can to save Gwen, but she falls. Peter, trying to save her, accidentally snaps her neck, killing her. Lawful good. For 5 months, Peter mourns the loss of Gwen. He doesn't go out as Spider-Man or looking for answers for his father, Oscorp, or anything. His aunt does eventually help motivate him to start moving forward. But hey, it's not like his dad having faked his death who comes to see him and will be great power, great responsibility. That would be silly. Neutral. This name is a Russian gangster who really loves his job. He's chaotic, loud, but follows orders to a T. At least he has fun with kids, and is probably having the most fun out of anyone in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Chaotic evil.
Hey, Spider-Man.
Motivated by Gwen's speech, because God forbid if someone other than Richard Parker or Gwen Stacy tries to motivate Peter, Peter finally goes and becomes Spider-Man. He rushes into battle Rhino to save New York, ending the tale of Spider-Man. At least for now. Honestly, Honestly, I don't have anything left to say about Spider-Man at this point. Andrew Garfield was fine as a Spider-Man, but most people have a problem with these movies because no one really asked for it, and no one wanted a reboot, and especially not in this gritty, darker style. Also, this Peter for a long stretch of time is kind of a dick. Now, I personally like protagonists that do morally questionable things for the right reasons, but he actually really doesn't even do that. As I stated in my biases earlier, this just wasn't my Spider-Man. And while I thought he did fine and his alignment ended up about as appropriately as this Spider-Man could, I had to say that if it wasn't for my job to exploit internet algorithms and look at this character, it's unlikely that I ever would have made this video. At the time of writing the script, No Way Home hasn't been released yet, which is kind of giving me a sick, twisted, like, what if in No Way Home, Andrew Garfield was, like, objectively the best, most interesting character in the movie? Wouldn't that be kind of hilarious and awesome? Please tell me he's the best character in the movie. I need to know this. Anyway, what did you guys think? Did you enjoy No Way Home if you saw it? No spoilers, by the way, if anyone's watching. Always give them at least a week or two. But if you want some more Spider content, check out our Spider-Verse video on Miles, Peter, and Gwen. And if there are any superheroes that you'd like us to cover, there's plenty of movies coming out in 2020. Next time, we have a lot of goblins running around, and we may need to call in an expert. See you guys then.
Perfect.